Nowadays, we all have heard of Darwin in one science class or another, but before he was Darwin, he was just Charles, a young kid who liked to gamble and get into trouble.
I have some exciting news. There's a voyage that's about to set sail for 2 years. They need a naturalist, and I think you'd be great for the job.
I think that's a great idea, but why me? Aren't you a better fit for it?
I mean, I've done my time, and I've seen the world. I think it's your turn to take a chance on this, so what do you say?
I'll consider.
So Charles goes home to ask his dad if he can go on the voyage.
Don't you think it sounds exciting?
Are you crazy? It sounds dangerous. Did you even ask why Hansel rejected the offer?
It's fine, Dad. It's going to be a great experience.
Experience? What about a career? I thought we agreed you'd be a clergyman.
No, I never agreed to that.
Well, either way, my answer is no.
Charles's dad says no to his voyage, but he has a plan to talk to him into letting him go. He travels to his uncle's house to ask him to convince his father.
So what's the big deal? You get to go on a cruise for 2 years. That's great.
That's what I'm saying. So can you convince him to let me go?
Robert is so stubborn, but I'll try.
Thanks, Uncle Jay.
No problem.
So Uncle Josiah starts writing a letter to Charles's father to convince him that this trip is a good idea.
Hi, Father. I have something for you.
Thank you. So your uncle thinks the trip will be good for you?
Yes, so what do you think?
You can go, but no horsing around.
I can't believe that worked. Hello, Captain.
Charles, what are you doing?
I'm just packing for our voyage.
Oh, about that? I already told my friend he could come, so there's no room left.
Are you kidding me? After all I've been through? Just for this voyage?
If my friend changes his mind, you can come. I promise.
A few days later, the captain comes to see Darwin with some news.
What do you want?
Guess what?
What?
You're coming with us. Really?
So Darwin repacks and gets ready to go on this once-in-a-lifetime adventure. He says goodbye to his family.
Oh my gosh, I'll see you soon. Please be safe. Bye.
So, you know how this trip is 2 years, right? It's gonna be more like 3. That's no big deal, right?
You're kidding, right?
Also, we're broke, so you're gonna be paying out of your own pocket. Alright?
That's great.
The Voyage of the Beagle finally set sail on December 27, 1831. They traveled along the coast of Africa, making a stop at the Cape Verde Islands. They made several stops including Bahia, Rio, Buenos Aires, and Tierra del Fuego, collecting samples of the native flora and fauna along the way. And in September of 1835, the Beagle arrived at the Galapagos Islands, which later Darwin would be known for.
Wow, look at the ground.
You see that? Look at all those animals.
Oh my god. Wow, look how big that tortoise is.
So Darwin started collecting pieces of flora and fauna to bring with him on the rest of his journey. Little did he know that these animals would help him make him famous. The Beagle continued to move through the Galapagos, making a stop at Charles Island and then Albemarle, the largest of the islands. While on an excursion to Chatham Island, he noticed something about the birds.
Did you see all the different birds? There's a bunch of different kinds on this island.
Darwin noticed a small variation between the birds on the islands. Some birds had smaller, stronger beaks to break seeds for food, while other birds had long, thin beaks to help eat nectar.
Yes, and the tortoises are different as well. The locals said you can tell them apart on the different islands based on their shell.
I'm going to take some of these birds and put them on the ship with the others.
After leaving the Galapagos, they traveled to Tahiti, New Zealand, Australia, and the Cape of Good Hope. While still traveling, he began organizing his notes and specimens, as he knew he had a lot of work to do once he arrived back home in England. Finally, on October 2nd, 1836, Darwin returned home to Shrewsbury 5 years later. Later in 1842, Darwin took his notes from the samples he took on his voyage and crafted the theory of evolution. He published the structure and distribution of coral reefs, which told of his observations in the Pacific and Indian Ocean.
We have been breeding pigeons for generations to create birds that have certain traits. If we can do it, why couldn't nature do it? I'm proposing that nature does exactly that, and eventually there will be so many changes within a single species that its great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchild is no longer of the same species anymore. And that's how we became a planet with so many diverse species. But nature doesn't always produce an offspring with well-adaptive traits. A finch with a weak beak on an island in the Galapagos that needs a strong beak to break seeds and nuts will surely not survive, and that is what I'm calling survival of the fittest. Only the fit will survive and pass on their traits, while the unfit will not.